Prying parents of Reddit, what secret of your child did you discover that made you wish you hadn't? When I was early in my teens we didn't yet have a computer or the internet, but we did have Cinemax. And my friend Doug introduced me to late night movies on the weekends. I never got caught with that, but as a teenager who read comics and was now fully aware of female anatomy, I would try to draw pictures of Rogue or Jean Grey naked. I used to hide them either inside comics or between my mattress and box spring. I never considered that my mom would one day change my sheets. She told me she was disappointed with me for drawing the pictures but impressed with the artwork, so she put it in her hope chest with all my other shit she was proud of. I was embarrassed then, but now in my 30s it's nice to know my mom cared that much. My friend and I made a prank video for my girlfriend in high school on one of those original flip disposable video camera things. The prank was us sitting on my bed saying one line of dialogue. I hope GF never finds out about us, then we pretend to kiss as the video falls to the floor. Now you can only hear us making sex noises for a minute. Anyways, as funny ideas go, we forgot about it and never let my GF find the video. Fast forward about 6 months and my dad comes into my room shaking, red-faced, holding the camera. WTF is this? I can't believe you did this in my home. You're never allowed to see Tim, my friend, again. I was so scared and hurt that my only response was, you can't tell me to never see him again. He's my best friend. I do everything with him. I was so flustered that I never even told my dad I wasn't gay. He might still think I'm gay. Maybe I am. I missed him. Not a parent but a child. When I was 8 and in the 2nd grade we had a project involving me having to look my address up online. I barely knew how the internet worked, and this was a time before all the censoring of PRN from the first page of search engines. My district was coming, and so one of the things I clicked on was a video of a man going to Pound Town on a scrotum. I had no idea what I was looking at. Couldn't even tell it was human. But my mom walked in only to find 8-year-old me mesmerized by this bouncing ballsack on the screen. Judging by her calm reaction, I think she realized that it was an innocent mistake, but I can imagine the thoughts that went in rapid succession through her head in that moment. I used my dad's computer and in his history was 2 lesbians wrestle. Ultimate surrender is good tea. Your dad's got some taste. This one is a refked up one. Brother 1 told my mom that he has been using Brother 2's computer to download music. This is the era of LimeWire, maybe 2007, and saw that Brother 2 had literally thousands of CP stuff on his computer. My brothers were in their early 20s. My mom checked Brother 2's computer and confirms that her child is downloading CP. What does she do? Nothing. She even bought Brother 2 another laptop when his became unusable due to the amount of viruses and malware. 2 years ago, the feds raided my mother's house. Plot twist, they were there for Brother 1. He started to download CP. She now has the honor of having both of her sons in prison and as sex offenders. Of course she makes it all about herself. It's a shame. Brother 1 was the one who was supposed to make it. Congrats on being the favorite child. My stock always rises when my FCK up siblings do really dumb shit. I'm only the favorite child because those dipshits set the bar so low. So go rob a bank. You'll still be the favorite. Not even really prying, but came home from work early one day and heard the shower running in the bathroom my 17-year-old son uses. Then heard some decidedly loud sounds of enjoyment from a female. Figuring none of wanted to deal with the embarrassment of an interruption, I retreated to the living room. About 15 minutes later my son and his girlfriend come downstairs and are quite surprised to see me already home. Figuring this would be a good time to twist the knife a little, I said, "So, what were you guys up to in the bathroom? Together?" My son stammered out, "Well, we had been in the pool and wanted to wash off the chlorine and we were in a hurry, so we went in together, but we kept our bathing suits on." Then his girlfriend looked at him like he was the world's biggest idiot and said, "That's what you're going to go with?" He looked at her and said, "Yep. That's what happened." She looked at me and said, "Okay. We're going with his story." I told them it sounded reasonable. My kids aren't quite old enough to ruin my view of their innocence yet. But when I was a kid, my grandma found my rather hefty PRN stash under the bathroom counter one day while cleaning. Had my own small bathroom at the time. Got really embarrassed about it until I realized that she just straightened them out into a neat stack and never said a word about it to me to this day. Hell of an old lady. Edit. Forgot I posted this comment and holy hell, it blew up. Everyone loves an awesome grandma. When I was about 15 in the throes of puberty, we were going to the doctor, and for my little buddy apparently that was enough to elicit a response. Well, I was trying to cover it up and my mom would not stop asking what was in my pocket, so I gave up and just said, "It's my penis, mom." Happy? She was very quiet after that. My brother was trying to print out some trans PRN pictures once, and the printer wasn't working. When my dad turned the computer on the next day, the picture immediately printed. Edit: to all the people think I'm ashamed and this brother is actually me. It really wasn't. I'd only shit out of this if it were me. And I'm pretty open about my sexual preferences. My daughter came home one evening smelling a bit like weed. I went through her room the next day while she was in school. I wanted to pinch a joint. I didn't find any weed, but I did find a butt plug in a used condition. I discovered that my son at the age of 13 was dealing pot at his middle school after he stole a scale from the science teacher to weigh some drugs he thought he was getting cheated on. Yeah. He got expelled for 1 year in addition to legal ramifications. He's 21 now and doing well. He also knows my Reddit name. Hi son. Love you. : Not quite the question you asked, but my mum did find a letter I wrote to my BF before the days of internet and texting, where I described how I was going to give him a blowjob. Couldn't look her in the eye for weeks. Even tried to pass it off as English homework. I was 14 at the time. 2 decades later I still cringe when I remember it. I was 17 and had ordered a new cell phone. And a vibrator. Around the same time. Vibrator came in while I was still at work. My dad got all excited that it was my new phone and tore the package open. Okay, WTF dad, don't open my shitty, but okay. Surprise. Giant purple rabbit with shiny pearls and everything. He was a 1000 times more embarrassed than me and my mom nearly died of laughter. I still lol when I remember how awkward he was about it. My nephew paid for PRN with my credit card. I mean, PRN hub and RedTube exist, man. Honestly, I'd be more angry that he paid for PRN in the first place rather than paid for it with my card. My wife and I are both retired, so we volunteered to house sit when my son, his wife and their 3 kids spent 6 weeks in Europe last summer. We discovered their video collection and were surprised to find their favorite pastime seems to be hosting gangbangs with my dill as the center of attention while our son films the action. We were floored but never said a word or let on in any way. They're both great people. Loving parents and responsible professionals with great careers, and we're not going to let this kink change our opinion of them in any way. But we do kind of giggle and snicker to ourselves now when they ask us to have the grandkids over for the weekend. Not a parent. But when I was about 15 and in the process of fapping, my mom came into my room without knocking. I was so shocked and at a loss for words. All I could say in reaction was, "I'm just checking if it works." Not sure how that could have changed the situation in any way. Lol, needless to say, she always knocked before coming into my room after that little incident. Holy shit. That's the best response ever. If I had been your mom, I would have burst out laughing, backed out of the room, and immediately gone to tell your father, because a story this good must be shared. Not really the prying type, but grabbed my 9-year-old daughter's tablet to show her how to get to her Gmail inbox using her web browser. Her email client was misbehaving. There were like 7 open tabs of PRN. And her web search history had a boys peeing search. Shocked me and the wife. She's 9. That was when we decided it was time for a bit of anatomical and reproduction info. Which, of course, fell to me. My wife was thoroughly incapable. Edit. Yes. She has her own email. And she emails me constantly while I'm gone during the week. I'm a truck driver. She also plays Skyrim and is a level 36 two-hand wielding whirlwind of a gadget. She also thinks Legolas from the Lotta movies is, in her words, super hot, so please. When my daughter was 5 we caught her looking for dog pooping videos and a slightly more troubling homeless man pooping. Fortunately YouTube could provide. As a prying child looking for confiscated video games, I discovered my mom hides my Game Boy way better than she hides her strap-on. Not exactly what OP is asking for, but similar situation to many of the comments. I was a teenager, maybe 15 or 16, and we had satellite TV. This was back when the Playboy channel was a thing. Anyway, it was around 2 AM in the summer and everyone is asleep. So I thought, my parents are only 20 years older than me, so they were quite young. I go to the Playboy channel and it asks me for the passcode. Apparently my dad already had a subscription. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out the passcode and my dad comes down the hall to get a glass of water and catches me trying to figure out the code. He looks at the TV and casually says, "Your mom's birthday is coming up soon." Puzzled, I replied, "But Dad, it's the middle of the summer. Mom's birthday is in December. Thanks for the passcode, Dad." My mum found 14-year-old me stash of anime catgirl pinups. Fortunately no hardcore PRN because we'd only had a computer like, what, 6 months at that point? YouTube search history. Mainly teen and teacher PRN. I mean, YouTube wasn't my child, but I used to work in a phone shop and I was transferring this kid's photos to his new phone. It was the first of that model I sold and little did I know it had a pre-installed app that showed a gallery on the second homepage after you swiped right. I was explaining how to use it and the default image the gallery function decided to select was a fully frontal nude photo of this poor kid's junk. Frankly, I didn't know where to look. He must have only been 13, maybe 14. I tried to subtly shift the phone away from his mum, but she had already seen it. He got an absolute public telling off in the middle of the store. Went on for some time while I was just awkwardly holding this phone with a photo of this kid's dick. Ah. Good times. You get to see some interesting things on people's phones. My mom was going to take my brother's vehicle to get the brakes fixed. She noticed he had a disposable camera on the front passenger seat that was full and had one of her own to take in for development, so she picked it up and dropped it off at the local photo place for development. She sent her assistant to pick them up later that afternoon. Boy, did the assistant and my mom get an eyeful. My brother had been at a country music festival up in northern Minnesota the previous weekend and the entire camera was full of my college-age brother getting a blowjob from a woman who was about my mom's age. I wasn't prying, but I did see my daughter's Facebook post to her best friends about when she lost her virginity. She didn't mean to make it public and shortly after I saw it she either changed it to a more private setting or she deleted it. And no, I didn't say anything to her about it. My 7 years old at the time. Google search history said big bouncy boobs. I was proud. My mum went into my MSN chat logs when I went to go live with my dad. I was not a savvy rebel. Forgot to check don't save and found all my cybering. I was like 14. She said it was way worse than the I hate my parents type of stuff. A lot of nasty SX stuff in here. Let me add some wholesome memes to the mix. My 5-year-old daughter was riding in the backseat auto bubbling away. Eventually she said, "Daddy, I don't think you know this, but when I was young, I used to pick up little bits of things off the floor and put them in my mouth." "Really? What kind of things?" "Sweetie? Pieces of paper. Fuzzies. Things like that." A thoughtful look crossed her face. Like she was trying to make a really difficult decision that would determine her fate. Finally she settled on honesty. Dot. "And I definitely ate a flower once." Not parent. Not the kid in question. Probably worse though. I've told this story on Reddit before but no one really cared. I'll post the cliff notes anyway. Media class. Make group YouTube account. 3 of us share a YouTube account. Me 15. Her 16. Her. Female. Friend 16. Her younger brother 11. See where this is going? We go to her house to film. She stays logged into YouTube on her home PC. Fast forward few weeks later in class. Searching YouTube cloud history whilst connected to projector. Multiple and repeated 11-year-old girls in white panties video and search variations almost daily. Girl assume it's me and that I've been stealing her underwear whilst at her house. Not fun. Rumors spread. Teachers got involved. I denied everything. Got suspended. Threatened with being expelled. Ended up in counseling. Got billed for underwear I didn't steal too. Ended up leaving school few months later. All because that little shitty hadn't discovered Pornhub. I was probably 11 or 12, maybe younger at the time, and recently discovered the wonderful miracle that is masturbation. I had a bunk bed and got naked under the covers to do my thing when my door opens up and in walks my dad, just looking to hang out and see what I'm doing. I didn't know how to respond and he sees that I'm covered from the neck down. So he thinks I'm trying to hide something. And so ensues him laughing, trying to get me to show him what it is, and I nearly have a heart attack trying to stay covered. He soon realizes what's going on and says, "Oh," and walks out. My dad's a pastor. My friend's dad walks into him watching PRN and he accidentally clicked a gay PRN advertisement. His dad awkwardly closed the door and will forever think his son is secretly gay. Accidentally. This is about parents, but I don't know when else I'll get to tell. One time in high school I came home on a night where I had said I would be staying at a friend's. Walked into the living room to see a PRNO on the 50 TV screen. But they weren't even watching. They were just chillin' and playing cards on the coffee table while a girl blew some guy in the background. I just go in the window or make ridiculous amounts of noise when I come in nowadays. They were probably waiting for the other couples to show up. It's me. Your child. Your innocent child. Oops, drop this bag of empty soda cans. Oh my, I've tripped and body slammed the door. Here I come. Not a prying parent, but I am a nosy son. I went through my mom's phone once in my entire life and I've regretted it since. When I was about 10, I was on my mom's phone and looked at her text messages with my dad. I said this to my girlfriend once. Except it went like this. Huh? Just left the gym. Heading home shortly. What do you want for dinner? Me. Just want to pick up a roast chicken? And I'll make some mashed potatoes and peas to go with it? Huh? Yeah. Sounds good. Want anything else? Me. Yeah. I want a piece of that tight PSSY. Huh? This is Ashley, girlfriend's 14-year-old niece who stays a weekend with us once a month or so. Texting while Aunt Steph drives. I guess I'll just hand the phone over. Now. That my then 14-year-old stepdaughter had a thing for anime PRN. I mean, hey. Do your Naruto and Pikachu thing. But damn, you're the daughter of 2 IT parents. Delete your browser history. I was once looking through my parents' closet in pursuit of PRN and I somehow managed to not only find but unlock a box filled with their collection of pipes and bowls. At that time I wasn't aware that pipes and bowls were used for weed. Go back and watch old stoner movies. They only ever really used joints. I honestly thought my parents were crackheads. My mom walked in on my GF giving me a BJ when I was 17. I bet she wished she would have knocked first. I walked in on my little brother getting a BJ from his girlfriend. Little Efka gave me a thumbs up. Actually found this out from a neighbor who frequented Omegle. I believe that's what it's called. When you webcam chat with strangers. And apparently stumbled onto my daughter and her friend putting on a show. Skin and all. I had no idea what to do. I don't have kids. But I found out a former roommate had a bizarre fascination with me. A few photos of me sleeping. And one of my boxers. unwashed and stashed away in her room. I noped the hell out of there shortly after. Our picture of Sofian sleeping, our picture of Adrian 87 sleeping. Update. There is a New Year's post on the sub that just got posted. I'm not a prying parent, but I am a prying child. I discovered the kind of PRN my mom is into by seeing what windows she had open in her phone's browser. She now knows what incognito mode is. Let it be known. Kids have WTF moments about parents too. My mother told me 2 years or so ago that she just wouldn't be able to trust a gay person around her kids. This was 3 years after I'd found a long history of lesbian PRN in her browser history after borrowing her phone.